Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about up potting, or just sizing up your pot for your house plants. And there's a few reasons why you may want to do that. One is if you just bought the plant from a nursery or a garden store. They're typically planted in plastic pots that aren't designed for long-term use. So you're going to want to take it out of there. Oftentimes at the bottom you'll see roots coming out and whatever, and so it could be root bound as well. But even at home your plants can get root bound. Now this one in particular, this is a Dracaena, and they are very sensitive to fluoride in water, so I only give it distilled water. But it has these little brown yellowish marks on it, and initially I thought it was because even though I give it distilled water, I was misting it with drinking water. So I thought, well geez, maybe that's what's doing it. So I took the bad leaves off and let it go. And it seemed okay at first, but they're back again. So I was checking the plant out, and lo and behold, there is a root coming through the drain hole. So it really needs to be potted up. And other plants are just vigorous growers, or they just grow really fast, and so they grow out of their smaller pots fairly quick. So you're going to need to pot those up as well. So anyhow, I know most of my followers probably this is not anything new to them, but I was thinking there might be some people out there new to houseplants or just gardening and all that, so why not show you what I do? Okay, to get started, first thing you're going to want to do is make sure your plant has been watered a day or a couple of days before you're going to do this. You don't want it bone dry, but you don't want it really wet either. So somewhere in between would be great. Choose a pot that's 1 to 2 sizes bigger than the pot that it currently is in. And this pot here looks a little big, but this thing will grow into it just fine because this pot is really too small. And then get yourself some decent potting soil. You don't have to get soil that already has like fertilizer in it, but don't cheap out on it either, because you gotta figure your plant is probably going to be in the same pot in that same soil for at least a year or two. And so you want to get a good soil that will have some nutrients in it, because you will fertilize here and there, but also is well draining, because very few plants like living in soggy conditions. I mean, you'll end up with root rot with that. So get yourself decent soil and water your plant a few days ahead of time. So right now, if you can see this, I hope you can, there's a ridge down here on the bottom, and I'd say that goes about 1/3 up the size of the pot, and that's about where I'm going to put this soil. I'm not getting it wet ahead of time, I'm just putting it in there dry. Whoops, I'm not putting a little bit much. Let's get this out of the way, and make sure you're doing this somewhere where it's easy cleanup. So I'm just going to break that apart a little bit. And then above this pot is where I will take this plant out. This plant actually has 2 stalks to it, but we'll see how easy it comes out. Now it has the roots coming out of the drain hole, so I want to be careful. Oh, holy mackerel. Look at that, you guys. Oh yeah, that thing really does need to be repotted. If you can get some of the old soil off without disturbing the roots too much, please do. That will help the plant. It'll be easier for the roots to, you know, spread out a little bit, and you'll have fresh soil instead of the old. Now go ahead and test that and see how far down it sits below the level. Like, I want it a little bit below the lip here, but not too low, because you run the risk of it rotting. So I think that's actually quite good. So I'm going to go ahead and get soil in around the plant, and this will take a few minutes because you want to make sure there's no air pockets. So you keep pushing it down all the way around. See how much soil you need? It's kind of stuck on the bottom here. Okay, so I got most of the soil in here. Make sure you push your fingers down around the sides to make sure there's, you know, no air pockets in there. Tamp it down, and then you're going to water. And like I said, with this plant in particular, I'm going to be using distilled water. And water it slowly, because sometimes it'll pool up on top and not really absorb. And don't soak it. Potting up your plants will put them in a little bit of a state of shock. So you want to baby them as much as you can by not under watering, and just trying to get it as right as you can. And you know, the best time really to pot up your plants is in the spring. Or fall. Fall can be good too. But if you just happen to buy a root-bound plant in the middle of winter, then I guess winter would be your best time. So that's about all I'm going to do with this one. Now remember too, if your plant doesn't have like a built-in saucer underneath there, you're going to want to have one. Geez, that traffic's loud all of a sudden, huh? Go ahead, you can buy them at any store really, any big box store, and make sure to, whether it's terracotta or, actually I like plastic, because the terracotta will get wet itself. So you go ahead and put your little drain saucer underneath there and let your plant alone and let it flourish, because it will, now that you're taking such good care of it. Anyhow, thanks for watching, you guys. I really do appreciate it. It was nice talking to you. And you take care.